Hello everyone and welcome to the Money Man. Now many of you have been waiting for this video for a long time and that wait is over. So thank you so much for being so patient regarding this video. Today I'm going to talk about the newest addition, or additions I should say, to the British Polymer banknote family, and of course I'm talking about the new £20 notes that have been recently issued by the 3 commercial banks in Scotland. So I'm going to start off with the one that is my least favourite and will work up to my most favourite. So the first one is the Bank of Scotland £20 polymer note. Now, even though it is my least favourite, it is still an absolutely exquisite banknote. And I have to say the designs on these 20s are absolutely phenomenal. Some of the best polymer notes out there. And again, not the easiest things to get hold of either, especially in this situation with you-know-what. So I'll go through some of the key features of each of the banknotes, but I'll try and keep it brief, okay, because there's a lot to get through. Now, the Bank of Scotland usually feature this image of this gentleman here, and this is Sir Walter Scott. Now, Walter Scott is a very well-known Scottish novelist, but he was also a historical novelist, a poet, a playwright, and a historian. So he's become very much synonymous with Scottish identity. So that's why he features on a lot of Bank of Scotland banknotes, and he features on every single denomination in the new Polymer series. So that just gives you an idea of how respected Sir Walter Scott is in Scottish history and tradition. Now, this banknote is really quite interesting because we've got lots of small details that we can have a look at. Now, on the front, you can see, like the £5 and the £10 note, you have this building in the middle. Now, this is actually the Bank of Scotland headquarters on the Mound, and actually there's a museum up there which you can go to, and they actually do auction off currency and sell currency, which is really good. So if you are interested, just Google Museum on the Mound, and there's a little source for excellent banknotes there if you're willing to pay a little bit extra. And the curator up there is a very, very helpful gentleman. He helped me to get hold of some fantastic banknotes, and he was really, really great. So an interesting place that I would definitely love to visit myself. So it's a really interesting banknote. There's quite a lot going on. Now you'll see the top of the building is featured right here in this reflective security strip. So basically what you can actually see near the top here is the pediment of the Mound. So it's basically just the dome of the building. And it's really interesting when it catches the light because you almost get a sort of firework effect of these stars popping in the night sky. I did wonder if this was a reference to Burns Night, which is a cultural holiday in Scotland where fireworks are lit at night, but I'm not entirely sure. But very, very nice nonetheless. You've got this lovely statue here in the reflective strip as well, with the denomination of 20, and then at the bottom you can see the logo of the Bank of Scotland. You have to remember that this is a commercial banknote, so it's not produced by the government, it is produced by a commercial bank, hence their logo is on the banknote. You can see thistles here at the bottom, and you can also see 4 thistles right here. Now, the thistle is the floral symbol of Scotland. Each of the 4 nations of the United Kingdom have their own flower that they are associated with, like the red rose for England, the daffodil for Wales, and so on. Scotland's is the thistle, so you will see that plant on many of the banknotes. And we've got this wonderful window that goes around the edge of the security strip, which is really, really nice. Very, very beautiful indeed. So there is a lot going on in this banknote. However, my one frustration is that the front is very similar to the 5 and the 10. That is my one criticism of the Bank of Scotland banknotes. It's too similar. But the colour scheme is wonderful nonetheless. You can see we've got the raised surface on the left corner for the visually impaired, so they can identify the denomination, henceforth the value of the banknote. Now, if we spin it around and look at the back, there's much more going on. Now, The Bank of Scotland have a long tradition of featuring bridges on their banknotes, and this one is no different. You can see that we've got the fourth bridge right here, which is obviously a testament to Scottish engineering. The Scottish are quite famous for engineering, actually, particularly bridges. But if you look throughout British history, you know, there's a lot of prominent Scottish engineers and architects, which is unusual and interesting. So they get some good representation in these banknotes. Now you'll notice just on the left side here that you can see some lyrics. Now these lyrics are from a traditional ballad that is called Far Over the Forth, which is referring to the Forth Bridge, or the Forth River. So that's why we've got the lyrics there of that song. You can see the thistle represented once again just next to the large denomination 20 right here, and again you can see that Bank of Scotland headquarters building on the back. So very, very nice banknote, definitely interesting. There's a lot going on here, but the other two are much, much better in my opinion. So the second one, which is not my favourite, but it is not my least favourite, of course, it is the Clydesdale Bank. Now, it's almost my favourite. It's very close between this one and the final one, but I'll tell you why I think the final one edges it out in a little while. But what I love about this one is you've got this image of a statue of Robert the Bruce. Now, Robert the Bruce was King of the Scots in the very early 14th century, and that was a very difficult time for Scotland because they were fighting off successive English invasions. And you've got to remember that this is around the time of William Wallace, Braveheart. Everybody's seen the Mel Gibson movie, right? But actually, when William Wallace was actually defeated by the English at the Battle of Falkirk, he basically stepped aside, and Robert the Bruce basically took the mantle and decided that he and another guy would fight for the future of Scotland. And he became heavily involved in rallying the Scots against the English in the successive wars of independence that came after the time of William Wallace. So he's a very, very key notable figure in Scottish identity, and especially now during, you know, we have the sort of idea of Scottish independence bubbling up every few decades, and you know, Robert the Bruce kind of, you know, embodies the idea of an independent Scotland. So he is celebrated on this banknote. You can see he's also in the clear window. We've just got a different angle of that same statue, but it's a really, really nice portrait, and I think it makes these banknotes very, very visually appealing. Now we've got this little spider here, and we've got the spider just sort of moving towards the center of the spider's web here, which is really interesting, but I have absolutely no idea why. It's very bizarre. If anybody knows why the spider is represented here, because I think there must be some connection to Robert the Bruce, but I could be wrong. But if anybody knows, let us know in the comments section. I'd love to find out. You can see we've got a geographical representation of Scotland up here, which is made using a reflective surface, so when it catches the light, it's very, very nice. And then we've got the island of St Kilda here. Now, St Kilda is an island off the coast of Scotland, very, very beautiful. And it is actually a World Heritage Site. So very, very interesting. Beautiful banknote. Let's have a look at the reverse. Now, on the reverse, we've got a close-up of St Kilda, and you can actually see its location right here. So you can see it's sort of off the northwest coast of Scotland in the sea. So very, very interesting. And down here, we've got some native islanders weaving. So there is a population that lives on these islands that surround the mainland of Scotland, and these people are supposed to represent people of St Kilda, I believe. But very, very interesting. You get a good nod towards Scotland's natural beauty. So very, very interesting banknote. I think the reverse of this banknote is absolutely stunning. Very, very nice indeed. Okay, so the final one that we're going to look at is this one right here, which is my favourite by a very small margin. And of course, I'm talking about the Royal Bank of Scotland £20 note. And here it is. I love the reverse and I love the obverse of this. So let's look at the obverse, the front first. It is absolutely breathtaking. Now, it does look kind of similar stylistically to the 5 and the 10, but I love that design already. The way it's got these lines that move through the banknote, and it's really interesting. The layout just works for me. The clear window is a bit of a letdown because you've only got the Royal Bank of Scotland logo, which is a reflective security feature, and then you've just got the denomination of 20. So the window is a bit of a letdown, but the rest of the banknote is incredible. You can see these lovely floral patterns that move through the banknote, which give you a real feeling of nature surrounding the portrait. And I love how you get these really large portraits that dominate the banknote. And this is of a lady called Kate Cranston. Now, when I looked into this, I found this woman really interesting. So, basically, Kate or Catherine Cranston, she basically pioneered the idea of the modern tea room. And you might be thinking, well, why is that important? Well, she set up tea rooms because she decided that she wanted something different from a restaurant where people could have light snacks like lunch, brunch, tea, cake, that kind of stuff, but not a full-on meal. And what she decided to do was raise the standards. So she implemented very high standards of service, food quality and cleanliness. So she's really elevating the industry to the modern standards that we all come to expect today. And she pioneered this idea. And invariably that probably saved a lot of lives because it probably reduced the number of people getting food poisoning by raising the standards of food quality and cleanliness. So on the surface it might not seem that important what she actually did, but if you look into it and the legacy that she's created is definitely important in my opinion. So she is worthy of being put on this wonderful £20 note, and I just love the portrait of her. I think it's absolutely incredible. The features of her face, she looks like a shrewd businesswoman. I think it's a wonderful portrait. But where the banknote really starts to win it for me is on the reverse. Here we go. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. So the Royal Bank of Scotland have decided to show the sort of natural wildlife of Scotland, and you've got two beautiful red squirrels. Now the red squirrel is a native species to the United Kingdom. However, it's largely been hunted to extinction by being outcompeted by the larger North American grey squirrel, and there are even instances of grey squirrels killing red squirrels. So the grey squirrel is an invasive species that's actually driven these guys to the point of extinction. However, they do seem to do better in Scotland. So there are more of these red squirrels that you can actually find in Scotland. They're beautiful little animals, and I love the fact that they're represented on the back of this banknote. And I love how you've got two, and they're sort of dancing together. They're sort of in concert, and that's a feature in all of the Royal Bank of Scotland polymer notes. And it's just really well designed. I honestly cannot fault the design of these banknotes. I think they're on another level. That's all I can say about it. They're really, really, really impressive. So yeah, two red squirrels. You can see that we've got the logo popping through again. We do actually have an excerpt from the poem Cupid and Venus by Mark Alexander Boyd right here, and you can see it says Mark Alexander Boyd. So if you want to check out that poem, just Google that if you wish. But again, I love the sort of emphasis on branches coming through here, again reflecting the flora and fauna of Scotland. So that is everything that I have for you today. So what do you think about my my favourite? Do you think I'm right on this one? Do you think the Royal Bank of Scotland is the best one? Let me know what you think, because obviously, everybody has a different opinion. But let me know what you think down in the comments section. So very soon I will be putting up a video featuring the Queen's Ferry commemorative editions of the banknotes of the Bank of Scotland banknotes very, very soon. But I might issue a couple other videos in between just to create a bit of variety. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I hope you manage to get hold of some of these incredible banknotes soon, because it is tricky at the moment with the lack of postal services operating flights. It's causing me quite the problem at the moment. But I hope you guys are all doing well, and I will see you on the next one. It's the Money Man signing out for now. Bye bye.